each goals represent the pending goals of ITA GDA controller. This initial goal constitutes from the response to an explanation and a discrepancy in the ITS work current state. Then the goal manager update the GP, adding the new goal, which may also ensure other edits. For example, to remove and to modify goals. The goal manager will select the new goal and turn it into the current goal to be given to the planner. In this study, a self-control mechanism is proposed to improve this selection process so that it can be less automatic. It can be regulated considering the performance and interest of the students determined by the interaction history with the system. In the previous slide, we could observe that the GDA controller facilitates the selection of new goals in each learning lesson of the ITS. Thus, just before creating new goals using the GDA controller, the ITS with the self-control mechanism will have the possibility of self-regulating this process, considering previous episodes of performance and interest of the learner. In this way, we use the model proposed by the Queteling and Sommerfeld, who affirms that the self-control can be fractionated in a temporal framing of actions and events involved in the selection process. Therefore, considering a stimulus, which in the model proposed in the student profile, which is a four-tuple where SI is the student identifier, SLS is the student learning style, SD is the pedagogical dimension assigned to the student by the system, and SPS is the pedagogical strategy assigned to the student by the system. The goal of the system is selecting a resource for the student related to his learning style. The initial goal of the ITS is received by the planner from the MetaCore package. Also, planner receives vital information for generate a plan constituted by the domain and the problem. Both the student profile and the course selected by the student make part of the domain. And CSS is the selected course by the student, where CI is the course ID, CCL is the current course lesson, and the CSL is the structure of the current course lesson. The planner generates a plan where each action that is stored in the MetaCore package. This plan P comprises the principal action regulated by the self-control mechanism.
Adan, your 5-minute warning.
Thank you. The algorithm represents the self-control mechanisms of the ITS. First, it is described by the procedure select action that represent the reactive control of the system. From line 3 to line 9, the system receives the student profile as input and examines all its knowledge base to find the most appropriate plan for that student profile. Previously described actions are executed considering the equation of questioning mutual information and mechanisms of case-based reasoning. The procedure select actions returns the plan with the highest mutual information. From lines 11 to 16, we can observe as inputs to the procedure cognitive control the control conditions used by the system. These control conditions are the student's performance, the score given by the student to the selected plan in previous times, and the interaction history comprised by the number of times that the student has interacted with the correct lesson. Thus, the system uses Queteling's cognitive control equation to calculate the probability that the selected plan is the most suitable according to the student profile and the control conditions. The figure presents a screenshot for the lesson plan presented to a student according to his profile using the automatic response mechanisms of the system, when the learner is logged in the system for the first time. This information solicited by the planner is completed by intercodification in PDDL language used to build the domain and the problem in the reasoning process of the ITS. In this way, 4 topics are presented to the student related to the course maternal and child health. The second figure presents the result of the cognitive control mechanism in the ITS reasoning process. The pedagogical strategy selection process has been developed considering the performance and the control conditions. These control conditions are related to the loading and selection of resources. Thus, the resources are shown to the student for the 3rd time, and at that moment, the system is waiting for the response of the student to use the GDA mechanisms. Finally, the data are saved in the trace of the student. In conclusion, this paper presented the computational implementation of a theoretical approach of control cognitive and GDA-based tutor model of an ITS. The study allowed the integration of the cognitive control mechanisms into a GDA controller component in the ITS tutor model packages. The GDA controller enables the tutor model to determine when new goals should be selected and decide which goals should be pursued in each learning lesson. The GDA controller enables the tutor model to determine when new goals should be selected and to decide which goals should be pursued at each learning lesson. For this, the tutor model must know the student profile and courses in which the student is enrolled and associated with the resources of these courses. Also, GDA control enables the ITS tutor model to incorporate additional techniques for responding to unforeseen situations. However, the system presented anomalies related to failures when pedagogical strategies were selected or loaded. The cognitive control mechanisms improve this process, adding autonomy to the system in decisions with choosing pedagogical strategies. These mechanisms facilitated the selection of pedagogical strategies considering the student's performance, score, and interaction history. This ITS has a limited set of algorithms of decision. In future research, we will develop a cognitive system that will use deep learning algorithms to improve this process of decision-making. Also, this cognitive system will have introspective monitoring procedures that will significantly improve the system's performance. That are the reference used in the study. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adan. And yeah, I have a quick question for you. So you've mentioned that you would be doing the tutoring system will be pursuing new goals, right? Could you give me an example for what are the new goals and during which unforeseen situations would it be able to pursue them?
Yeah. For example, the goal of the system is selecting a resource related to the learning style of the student. The system chooses an image for the learning style of the student. For example, the student has a visual learning style. So the system chose an image for that student. However, according to the performance of the student and the interaction history of the student, the system decides create a new goal and present to the student a video according to the preference and interest of the student in previous times. It's an example for the new goal in the system.
Thanks. Sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Please go to the Slack channel if you have any questions. And thank you, Adan.
Thank you.
So we'll be moving forward for our